Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll call to order the Commissioner meeting for Thursday, August 8th, 2024, it being 1:03 p.m. I would ask that you please join me in a moment of silent reflection. If you would please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Executive sessions announcements on 7/31 at 9:30 a.m. The three commissioners met in executive session to discuss one open position. The commissioners also met on 8/1 at 11 a.m. With benefit specialist Brian Walters meeting to discuss one open position. I would ask for a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Commissioner meeting minutes for 7/30/24. May I have a second?
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Commissioner's comment.
I would just say I had the opportunity to enjoy a walking tour of 11th Avenue with the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development this morning, and there is a lot of stuff going on in downtown Altoona. So people were out and about, farmers market. It was a really nice opportunity to see everything going on.
I don't have anything today. Thanks.
I would just like to, we, the commissioners, had the opportunity to attend CCAP, which was down in Adams County, in Gettysburg. It's always good to go to those events. We learn, get to network, and Gettysburg and Adams County is a very nice place to visit. So we wanted to thank them for their hospitality. Consent agenda, payment of the following three warrant lists is outlined in item A. Ratification of the following 5 warrant lists is outlined in item B. Budget transfers in C and D. Resignations in E, terminations in F, end of an internship in G, employments and status changes in H and I. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Comments or questions?
Need a second.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye with an abstention to payments to the Borough of Hollidaysburg and Blair Senior Services.
Staff reports and special business. Prison. You brought backup today.
We are requesting approval of the bid specifications and advertisement for the invitation to bid for the food and non-food items for the Blair County Prison.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid specifications and advertisement for food and non-food items for the Blair County Prison. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Our second item is requesting approval of the bid specifications and the advertisement for the invitation to bid for the milk products for the Blair County Prison.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid specifications for the advertisement and invitation for the bid for milk products in Blair County Prison. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Question for you. Is this a 6-month bid?
It is. And can I ask me a second part of that question?
Yeah, is there a reason why we don't bid this for a year or 2 years or something, that we have to keep coming back here?
So we've originally talked about putting the milk bid out for a longer period because we're going to get the state's lowest price regardless. I didn't realize that if we changed the number of years that it would need reviewed by the solicitor. I didn't realize that until there wasn't enough time to get it under review. So I wholly anticipate doing that for the next one. I'm not sure. I'm not even going to pretend to be. This is our third time doing food bids. We never did them before, so this is still very new to us. I don't know, and I won't pretend to know how that would affect the actual food bid itself, moving forward. But I think if that's something you would like us to look into, we can have that conversation with Becky and the controller and those folks and see if that's something that we can push out if it makes sense. But I think the milk definitely does make sense to try that the next time.
Okay.
I wanted to take this moment to call attention to House Bill 2389, which was introduced by Representative Schmidt in the General Assembly. It's a very small change to the county code that would exempt fifth-class counties from having to bid for milk. I think he may have actually included all classes of counties because previously Class 2A counties were exempt from this requirement, and it kind of makes no sense that they would be exempt and the rest of us wouldn't. So I'm thankful that Representative Schmidt was willing to advance that forward. I believe it's in the local government committee, and I don't think it's been passed out of committee, but hoping that in the future we may not have to do this at all.
Correct. Yes. You had forwarded me that information, and I appreciated that. So again, we can take a look at since we've done it a few times now, we can certainly take a look at the food and the non-food part of it also, if you'd like us to.
It's not that we don't like seeing you here. We
Yeah,
do.
I don't want to do this every 6 months, to be quite honest. It's not an easy process, and we would not be standing here with any of this even remotely close to finished without, Becky's help and Lindsay and Angela and AC and all those folks. It's not an easy process.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
The only other question I have that I've thought of, and I'm not sure that I've raised it in the past or not, so I hope this isn't repeating myself, but is there any benefit to bidding the non-food items separately from the food items? Because you might get additional vendors on one or the other, that non-food people that would not want to bid for food and vice versa.
I think they have the opportunity.
Yeah, they can bid per item.
Yeah, they
Yes.
can bid per item.
They don't have to bid on
Oh, I
it.
thought they had to bid the
No.
whole thing.
No. Yeah, it's a per bid item. So again, now that we've done 3 of them, I think we can definitely go back and take a look at maybe some of the data and see how many new people we've had bid each cycle and see if it makes sense to keep doing it every 6 months or if it makes sense to push it out longer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Children and youth.
Hello.
Hello.
Today we're requesting approval of the fiscal year 24-25 renewal of purchase of service agreement and HIPAA business associate agreement between the County of Blair, Blair County Children, Youth, and Families, and the Children's Home of Pittsburgh.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal purchase service agreement between the County of Blair, CYF, and the Children's Home of Pittsburgh. May I have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
And we're requesting approval of fiscal year 24-25 renewal purchase of service agreement and HIPAA business associate agreement between the County of Blair, Blair County Children, Youth, and Families, and Center County Youth Service Bureau.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal purchase of service agreement with the HIPAA business associate agreement between the County of Blair and Center County Youth Service Bureau for the period of July 1st, 2024 through and including June 30th, 2025. May I have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then lastly, we're requesting approval of fiscal year 24-25 renewal purchase of service agreement and HIPAA business associate agreement between the County of Blair, Blair County Children, Youth, and Families, and Wardell and Associates Incorporating, doing business as Family Intervention Crisis Services for July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal purchase service agreement between HIPAA Business Associate, County of Blair, and the Wardell and Associates for Family Interventions Crisis Services for the dates already indicated. May I have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I'm here today requesting approval of a quote between the County of Blair on behalf of Fort Roberdeau and the Blair County Convention Center or the casino at Lakemont Park for hosting the Fort Roberdeau 18th Century Dinner on September 22nd, 2024, in the quoted amounts of $5,888.75 and $6,231.25 respectively.
I'll make a motion to approve a quote between the County of Blair, Fort Roberdeau, and the Convention Center and or the Casino Lakemont Park for the amounts listed. May I have a second?
I'll second
So,
that. We have to discuss it.
yeah. So Glenn, do you want us to approve one or the other?
Yes,
On
for
this.
today, we're getting close to where we're like 5 or 6 weeks away, and we lost time to market. So we need to select one today, or the other option would be to put it off for a year and chalk it up to a learning experience and resubmit for 2025.
So I think where my confusion's coming from is that we previously did approve a contract with the Blair County Convention Center. Is this quote different than the previous quote that we approved?
No, it was the same amount.
Okay. So the action we would be taking if we wanted to go with casino would actually be to rescind our approval of the
Correct.
prior and
Yeah.
accept the casinos, or we can just leave it as it is and
Yeah.
go with the convention center.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And the reason that we went through this exercise was because unfortunately there were disparities in the discussions, and so we went to requiring a written, kind of like an RFP, so that everybody that was bidding on it had the same information.
That's correct.
Right, okay. The one question that I have, I mean, the difference between the two is very small, $350. I know the purpose of having the dinner is to try to raise funds for the fort.
Correct.
And so you want to make the most money that you can. I understand that. But I remember looking at the bids and reading in the one from the casino, or maybe it was your notes, that something about basically it would be economies of scale. Depending on how many people we got, it kind of changes this.
Right. It's the amount of people that actually sign up for the dinner would change the price per meal at both locations.
And it's hard to guess that, obviously.
We asked for a minimum of 75 and then a maximum of 125.
Okay.
So-
And so the numbers that are shown here, are these the numbers for 75 or are they for 125?
Those are the overall bid would be the same, like for the casino it'd be $38 to $50 for guests, 75 to 100, and then $37.50 for over 100. So the total bid is the total bid. It'll depend on actually how many people sign up, but the quote is the quote.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last question, I'll quit asking you questions after this. I know that the board is working hard on this, and I would just ask if the board has a preference for one of the two places. Since the prices are so close, it's, what is the food, is the menu better at one versus the other? Is there atmosphere better at one than the other? Are there things available at one that are more attractive to you guys than the other? I don't think that any of us have any, well, I don't know, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but it is your dinner. I know this is a whole different way of handling it. This year is an experiment, basically.
Right.
So I just wondered what preference, if any, the board has.
The board did not have a preference. The dinner team was impressed with the casino's attention to detail on the 18th century dinner. The chef asked more questions in that area, and that was, the team was impressed with that part of it from the casino.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion then to rescind the prior approval of the contract for the 18th century dinner that had been approved for the convention center. May I have a second to rescind that prior approval?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Do we need to have a discussion on which one of preference before making the motion to one or the other?
Well, how about if I make a motion and then we can discuss it, because that's normally how we do it.
Thought we did that already.
Well, kind of.
I guess I'm confused procedurally because we had a motion and a second that we didn't vote on, and then we had a different motion and a different, and a
That's true.
second to the different motion. So I don't know if you
We're out of order.
procedurally.
Right. Which we did
I
that.
think
We
they
just-
both said
Yeah,
yes.
we just did.
Okay, so that's the, so now you have a clean slate.
Right.
Nothing,
Right.
move on to the next item of business, or you can make a motion on this and vote to approve by your, you can table it, or you can vote to approve.
And I don't think we have the
Thank you.
time to
Yeah, we
table.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, you motioned to rescind the approval for the convention center.
Correct.
Okay.
Because that was what you had mentioned, that we had already done that. So we needed to have that motion to rescind that prior approval. So that's now done. So now we just need to decide, it's either going to be the convention center or casino, Lakemont Park. You've indicated that your board has really no preference.
That's correct.
But the dinner committee does.
Yeah, the dinner committee liked the casino.
All right. So I'm going to make a motion to approve to have the 18th century Fort Roberto dinner on September 22nd, 2024 at the casino at Lakemont Park. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, Glenn, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's painful. Lindsay?
All right, so we are requesting approval to rescind Resolution 131 of 2024 dated March 14th, 2024. This is for the allocation of opioid settlement funds to the specialty courts because that program was deemed not applicable to Exhibit E.
I'll make a motion to approve, to rescind Resolution 131-2024 dated March 14th, 2024. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions?
I just want to clarify, so what we are rescinding is the budgetary allocation of that money to the specialty courts based on the opioid trust's denial of our request to use the funds in that manner. Is that correct?
Yes, the allocation, so that also has an actual physical monetary effect as well, not just budgetary.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this specific item? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Webster.
Thank you. I'm here to request that we amend approval to amend the DCED Greenway Trails and Recreation Grant Program that we had submitted for Phase 2 improvements of Valley View Park. We had made this submission and had based part of the matching funding on a grant that we will be applying for towards the end of this year. But upon review, DCED said, well, you haven't yet applied for the DCNR grant, so you're going to have to find a different match. So we did propose a different match, and the DCED reviewer was happy with that, and as a result, we would like to amend this. It does not change, the plan or anything like that. It's just, we had to find a different funding source.
Are you making that in the form of a motion?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm making that in the form of a motion.
I'll second the motion. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Human Resources.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am here today to request approval of the revisions made to the existing interns, job shadowing, and volunteer policy effective July 11th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the revisions made to the existing interns, job shadowing, and volunteer policy effective July 11, 2024. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions?
I just want to make sure we have the right thing, because we were through a couple different iterations of this. The interns and job shadowing is one policy now, and
Yes.
the volunteers is a separate policy, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the main change is that the volunteers will no longer have to comply with the drug testing policy. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
I guess I did have a question that I emailed about this, and I can't remember who the email went to, but I don't think I got a response back, so I'm going to have to ask it. The job shadowing definition it restricts people to shadowing up to 35 hours per calendar year.
Correct.
Which is only one full week of
Right.
business hours here. And it provides that up to 7 hours, job shadowers do not have to drug test, but between 7 hours and 35 hours, they do have to comply with the drug testing
Yes.
policy. And my question had been, does that make sense, given that we have volunteers who volunteer many more hours than that in a calendar year? So I just wasn't sure why we were making that distinction between job shadowers and volunteers, given that the risk to the county seems to be more significant the more time you spend here if we're not drug testing.
Well, I think with job shadowing, it's limited in hours overall. So volunteers that volunteer their time. Job shadowing is more, they're just monitoring someone and looking over their job and just kind of gathering information. I don't know, I think volunteers are volunteering their time to help out the county. Job shadowing, they're here to gather information that are just more, it's more, I don't know how you want to say it,
Well, it's for their benefit.
It's for their benefit.
It's a learning
Yes.
experience for them. But
Yes,
again, like
thank
they're
you.
limited in time, where a volunteer would not be drug tested, but may be spending significant amounts of time at the county.
I think part of the distinction is that the volunteers already have a specific, more intense, specific knowledge of what they're doing, and therefore we probably shouldn't do this, but we may want to think about that fact that they have already an ethical obligation, a sense of something that they need to avoid certain things that would cloud their judgment, get in the way of properly providing whatever service that they're providing to the county. It's almost like your own professional code of ethics of, well, if I'm going to be volunteering at the 911 center to take calls, I should certainly be in a mental situation where I'm able to do that and I'm not impaired in any fashion.
And it's still provided in there that if there's a reasonable suspicion that we send them for drug testing.
Right, that's right.
And the board continues to look at our policies and procedures. In this particular one, the volunteers, it used to be if you were volunteering your time to the county required you as a volunteer to pay money to go get a drug test to volunteer your time to work here, which just didn't seem to make sense. They were paying
Correct.
to work here and help us out. So we
Correct.
made the change of that not requiring that any further, but also the language is that if there's a suspicion or if we have probable cause, we have the right then to ask for one. And based on the conversation that we're having, that, this is something we can continue to look at to see if it needs to be modified or not. But, some of this may have further conversation. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the revisions that were made in the internal job shadowing volunteer policy. I guess I already did that.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Second item would be requesting approval and signature on the 2025 Pennsylvania County's Workers' Compensation Trust PCOMP renewal checklist for PCOMP to quote the Blair County rates for 2025.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the signature of the 2025 Pennsylvania County's Workers' Comp, or PCOMP, renewal checklist to the quote of Blair County for the rates of 2025. May I have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tricia?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here requesting the approval of the submission of the fiscal year 24-25 Human Services Block Grant Annual Plan to the Department of Human Services.
I'll make a motion to approve to submit the 24-25 Human Services Block Grant Plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. May I have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know who requesting approval for the revised public comment policy.
I can.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the revised public comment policy, and I can describe the changes for you if you'd like.
Okay, sure.
I'll second the motion.
This actually came out of realizing that the online version had a typo. So online, the current version has a paragraph 7, but it's for some reason there must have been a hard return within paragraph 6. So it was really changing typographical errors and doesn't really make any substantive changes. But because it was passed at a public meeting, we had to revise it at a public meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I don't think there's any old business.
We have on here additional discussion on the Trail and Recreation Authority, but I don't know that we're ready to have any additional
No.
discussion. So.
With being at CCAP, we didn't get the opportunity to really do any research.
But with our solicitor present, we may have some afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next Board of Commissioners meeting will be held Thursday, August 22nd at 1 p.m. Thank you.